I'm Ian.
And I'm Jono, and we're bike gearheads, and today we're going to be reviewing the ENVE MOG.
The ENVE MOG is a bike that we reviewed in the past on their initial launch, so you can go to our channel and watch that video. But we're going to go into some other things today, and this has a different drivetrain on it as well.
Yeah, some new details.
The first thing we should do is talk about where the MOG falls in the ENVE line.
So they first came out with custom road bikes, so that was what they have there. Then they came out with a road bike called the Melee, and then last year the MOG came out, this year the Fray. The Fray splits the difference between the Melee and the MOG. And then of course, if you want the highest end road bike, the custom build.
And I mean, I think most people are familiar with ENVE from their wheels and their components, and now they're doing bikes. So same company, bikes now.
Doing bikes for a while. So this year they got some new stuff, new colors for the MOG. They came out with a terracotta and then a slate blue.
And we went up to ENVE because they're right up the road from us, and we shot some of those, so those were cool. And the colors are nice.
Yeah, they look really good.
All right, Jono, so have you tell us how tall you are and what size bike you rode?
6'1", and I rode the 58. They come in 6 different sizes, ranging from 49 to 60. So a good range for most size riders.
So you said what size bike you ride. Let's talk about some of the numbers that go along with that. So what is the reach on that size?
Yeah, so the reach on that one's gonna be a 405.
Okay, in the stack?
It's gonna be 605. And if you forget, it's on the down tube, so
yeah,
it's pretty nice.
It is right there, yeah, the size and everything. Sometimes I am looking at bikes, I'm like, where did the sticker go? Like, what size is this? I mean, it obviously doesn't matter if it's your own bike, but like, you know, somebody else's bike, look at the sizes. It's cool that it's on there. All right, and then what about the head tube angle on this bike?
So we'll change by sizes, but on mine it's 71.5. On the smaller sizes, you'll be seeing 71.
And what is the seat tube angle on this bike?
So on the size 58, it's a 73.2. It will vary by sizing.
Gotcha. So, I mean, not just talking about numbers, but just talking about the bike in general. Is this like a very race geometry? Is it more of like a bike packing geometry? Where does this fall?
I'd say it kind of splits the difference. It feels like it could be a race bike, and it is. You know, people have raced it.
Yeah.
But it also has, you know, the mounts for luggage and extra bottles, things like that. So you can take it bike packing, and it's comfortable doing both, which is really nice. Not all gravel bikes you feel that way. This one, I'd say that's the highlight for me, is it is so versatile. Yeah,
this one does fall in the middle. When this video comes out, there'll also be some other gravel bikes that we're going to be releasing as well, and this one does pretty much fall in the middle as far as geometry goes. So we talked about the numbers. Let's talk a little bit about the frame specs and what people might be interested in if they're interested in this bike.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we have dived really deep in this frame when it was first launched, so if you haven't seen that video, you can check it out in the video description, so it'll be there, but we'll just kind of touch on the highlights here.
Okay.
First of all, it's a threaded bottom bracket, T47, which is nice to see. Internal cable routing, fully. Some people may not like that, but I haven't had any issues. Had it for over a year now. It's pretty easy to get in there and service the bearings and everything like that.
And just one thing I want to say about that is they do have the one piece now as well. This is a two-piece stem and bar, but you could do a one piece and that'll run through too.
Exactly. So
that's nice.
If you want a really clean look and a little bit less weight, that'd be a good option.
Yep.
As far as tire clearance, it's designed around like the 40 to 45 tire range. We can fit up to a 50 in there, and I think at Sea Otter they even had a 2.1, which they wouldn't recommend, but you can squeeze it in if it's dry conditions.
This one also has a UDH, which is becoming a lot more popular on gravel bikes. Build-up transmission if you'd like to.
Yeah, so it'd be really nice setups, having the mullet with the 1052 rear cassette with like I'd probably do like a 46 or 48 chainring up front, one by, with the wide spindle.
Yeah, I mean, one of the cool things about this bike is on the drive side, we talked about it in the other video, but it's a solid chainstay, so it gives you a little more clearance because they didn't have to make it as wide, so you can run a bigger chainring on there, which is cool. Speaking of the drivetrain, that is kind of the newest thing on this bike for us. Actually, as we're shooting this is the launch date for this group set, but it's the GRX Di2 12-speed.
Yeah.
So we want to talk about that a little bit because none of the other bikes that we've rode has that group set.
So if you're familiar with Di2, shifts amazingly well. And the same is to be said for this new GRX 2x. For me, the hood feel and shape is amazing. I'd say that's like the biggest thing for me is that improved, I guess, just shifting feel.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Yeah, the ergonomics of the shifters and everything.
Yeah, it's really designed around flared bars now and just the type of gravel we're riding on and racing on. Additional buttons, so you can program how you want. You can rotate their screens, or I like to have it set up so I can shift up or down with the right hand. Just with that, if I want to like grab a bottle, I can still bang through the gears either way. It
is semi-wireless, not completely wireless like you see on Axis, but that does make building it a little bit easier, a little nicer. So the cable runs between the front derailleur and the rear derailleur, so you do have to connect those, but then everything else is wireless. Yeah. So it's really nice.
Pretty easy setup. And I think for a bike like this, you might be doing tons of different types of riding. Having the 2x wireless is a great setup. I really like the ability to have fast road gearing and also, drop down that little ring and climb like the steepest climbs is just a great setup.
That's definitely nice. And just to reiterate, I mean, they did change ergonomics and some of the other stuff on the group set, but they did add one more cog in the rear for the electronic group set. So that's the biggest upgrade.
Yeah,
on
12
this
speed
one.
now.
It's 12 speed instead of 11 speed GRX Di2.
So you should have more gearing options. You can do the 1136 cassette now and get a lot of range there. And then the crank options are the same as the current non-Di2 cranks, which are all the same.
On our site, we only carry the frame set, so we'll have to do a custom build. So is this how you would build it up, or should they reach out to a Gearhead and try to build it up some other way? What do you think about that?
Yeah, tons of different options. So it works with any of the top gravel group sets out there in the market, like Ekar from Campanile. You can do SRAM transmission or even just the SRAM axis or previous generation. So you're really flexible in what you can do, and it really depends on how you ride and what you ride. So I'd say chat with the Gearhead and they can walk you through the best group set for your riding style.
And this bike is good for an at-home mechanic as well. Down in the in-frame storage, you go in there, that's where they internally route the cables and stuff like that if you do have that for the brakes and stuff. So yeah, this bike is great if you want to do an upgrade as well.
Yeah, if you want to build it at home yourself, it's not too daunting.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Another cool feature about the frame is the cargo bay, which is their in-frame storage. It works really nice. You slide it out, you pull it off the bottom cage. Then there's a couple bags in there that you can store.
2 bags. You can put your tubes in there, tools, things like that.
Yeah.
Maybe a rain jacket. Squeeze it all in there.
It is really nice to have that. Not all gravel bikes are coming that way, so that's great. And then the other thing about this is it is, like we said, in the middle as far as geometry goes. So you could race it, you could do a bike packing thing. So it does have a lot of mounts for like bags and panniers and stuff like that. The front fork, you can see it on there.
Yeah.
Has the 3 different bolts, and it has place for a fender or stuff like that.
Yeah, so many options. And when it first launched, we did do a little bike pack on it, and it was fantastic for that. And also did like the ENVE Rodeo, which is a big gravel event they have every summer, and did that event on this bike, and it's some of the gnarliest gravel biking you'll do, and it handled that really well. So it's just a great all-arounder.
Yeah, I think it is one of our best all-around offerings as far as gravel goes.
Yeah, for sure.
So speaking of that, let's talk about the ride characteristics of the bike a little bit. So the first thing I'd like to ask you is about the climbing. So how does this bike climb?
Climbs really well, loaded up or race day. Climbs very efficiently, stiff bottom bracket, but it doesn't beat you up. The frame is compliant where it needs to be, which is great. So you're allowed to put down power and not really lose a whole lot of efficiency out of it, but you're not getting beat up and wearing out really quickly on a ride. The down tube slants down, so you have more seat tube out of the frame, which gives more compliance, which is a nice thing to have on chunky gravel.
Yeah, and it's kind of something that we're seeing with more gravel bikes these days.
Yeah.
It's kind of building some compliance into the seat post, which I like personally.
Added comfort.
Yeah.
Easy to do.
Easy to do. How about descending? It looks like this has some pretty nice tires on it, good tire clearance, maybe the geo setup for it. What's the descending like on this bike?
Yeah, so this one been running 45 millimeter tires, so it gives you a little bit of cushion and confidence going on descents. And again, when I did the bike pack, I had a roll bag up front on the handlebar, had a tail bag, had a frame bag, and it handled that really well. I was just blown away by how well it handled with it loaded up. And again, when it's empty, on race day, it handles really well in the descents. It really kind of eggs you on to push harder and go faster than some other bikes with, maybe a little steeper head tubes or just a little bit different geo. Or less tire clearance. Like this one, you can run up to a 50. I know one of our coworkers just really recently did a very chunky gravel race, and he placed second on his MOG. So it's a very capable bike.
So are you not having to pick your way around baby heads and stuff like that on the gravel road? Like you can go over them if you need to and stuff like that.
I mean, not as much. You still want to, but if you pick a bad line, it's not gonna really hurt you too bad.
All right, well, how does it compare to other gravel bikes that you've ridden? You're lucky enough to be able to ride a ton of different gravel bikes. So how does this one compare?
I'd say most recently, I've ridden the Cervelo Sparrow. So it feels similar to that as far as geometry, the frame, shape, design, things like that. It's going to be a very similar performing bike, but feels a little bit lighter, a little more, could just be the build that we have, but I'd say it's a little more premium version of that Sparrow. Not saying the Sparrow is not premium, but this one just feels like a little bit beyond that. And it also gives you the capability of doing more bike packing. You can put the fenders on there, you can load up the front fork with extra gear. So it just gives you more options as far as what you're getting out of it.
And I mean, in Cervelo's defense, this frame set is a little more expensive than
it
that
is,
particular build.
It's more expensive, so expect to be getting more features out of a bike when you spend more money, and you do. And again, with the full internal cable routing, all that, it's all little things that really make it next level
We've had this bike in my size as well, and I rode it, and it's just an incredible bike. I love the way it feels. And it really is like right in the middle with a lot of different things for me personally.
Yep.
So who do you think this bike is for?
So I think this bike is for the gravel racer. It's for the fast gravel biker or adventure rider, and kind of everything in between. And if it's your only bike, you can make it work. I would put 2 different wheel sets on, have like a road, like probably a 34 road tire on there, and then 45 or 50 for the chunky gravel.
Yeah, it really is a good all-around bike.
Yep.
Super versatile.
All right, so there's one thing to do. We got to weigh it. We haven't weighed a bike with this new 2x Di2. So do you think it's gonna be heavier or lighter than the 1x we had before?
I think it will be heavier.
Yep.
But I'm really terrible at guessing these weights.
All right,
but let's see what we can do.
I'm gonna say like 20 pounds.
20 pounds?
Yep.
We go a little lighter than that. We go 19 pounds.
All right, 20 pounds, 12 ounces.
20 pounds, 12 ounces.
And we got 9.33 kilograms.
Well, thanks, Jono. Thanks for running us through that bike. That was a good review. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, if you have any questions about this frame or want to do a custom build with one of our gearheads, we'd be happy to help you out. And we'll see you out in the gravel.
See you out there.